Hello and welcome to Hoot Voices, a special podcast for International Women's Day by Hoot Creative Arts. Hoot is an arts and wellbeing charity based in Huddersfield. We run free creative activities because being creative makes us feel good, and it's a great way to look after our mental health and wellbeing. In this episode, members of the Hoot team are joined by our special guests, Sobia, Nikta and Zenabu from Women's Centre. Women's Centre provides holistic one-stop services in Huddersfield, Dewsbury and Halifax, and in the community. Their services include emotional and practical support on issues such as debt, benefits, mental or physical health, domestic violence, counselling, training and development, and much more. We'll be discussing whether women have been disproportionately affected by the socio-economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. First, we're going to start with a quick warm-up activity by Hoot's in-house visual artist, Sally. Join in with us if you can.
I thought it would be lovely to start off this session that we're doing now with some drawing. And when I say drawing, we've discussed this and we've decided it's more like doodling. So it's a very easy, relaxing kind of way to bring creativity into the session. You can just pick up a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper. Could be anything, any size, any colour, lined, squared, plain, any colour. So grab that. But yeah, it's just something very easy to do that perhaps can, if you're feeling anxious about anything, it might be something that's quite distracting from that and maybe sort of change your brain into a more creative kind of gear, a bit more relaxing. So let's just start. You've all got a sheet of paper. Put your hands on your piece of paper in front of you. It doesn't matter where they go, anywhere on the paper. And I just want you to close your eyes and just feel the under underneath your fingers. And I think it'll be mainly you're going to feel it under your fingertips and under that little heel of your hand at the base of the palm of your hand. And imagine when you walk on a beach, on a sandy beach, and you see your footprints behind you. It's kind of visualizing that kind of mark that your body makes. Imagine putting resting your hands on the warm earth or on the warm sand, and just picture that, how the sort of impression that you might make. And just play around with your fingertips on the paper. So you might just tap them around a little bit as if you're playing the piano really lightly, and just move your fingers around a little bit and feel that pad at the bottom of at the base of your hand. So anybody trying that at home, just play around a little bit and feel maybe the warmth of the paper or the coolness of the paper, and just visualize it with your eyes closed. Take a few breaths, nice even slow breaths in and out, and just relax your body. Try and block other things out. Okay, so if you open your eyes, and I'm just going to keep my hand on the paper, and I'm sort of moving it slightly up to the top left. And it doesn't matter what your hands are doing. You could spread your fingers out or you could have them closed. You can put your hand on the side. It really doesn't matter what you're doing, but you're going to grab your pen or pencil and you're just literally going to draw around your hand. We're not trying to get accurate representation of your hand. It's just a way of contacting you with the paper. Take it off. Now my pen's not even worked because for some reason, so I'm going to grab something else. But yeah, you can lift your hand off and just see what mark you've made there. Just the most simple, basic way, going back to cave painting. So it's something that's really inherent in us to make a mark on the paper. Okay, so then perhaps just move your hand slightly. I'm going to move my hand to the right because I started up in the top left. You might just move your hand a little bit into a slightly different position, and you're going to do the same thing. So you've moved it about, half an inch, a centimetre, and do the same. And listen to that sound that your pen or your pencil makes on the paper as well. So it's kind of getting a sense of, a kind of multi-sensory aspect to it. So now you've got two kind of lines, and if you continued to do that, you'd start building up a pattern, and you might want to change your colour if you've got a colour going on, or change from a pen to a pencil. Start filling that in with a little pattern. So for me, what I tend to do generally when I'm doodling, say I'm on the phone or I'm in a Zoom meeting, I tend to I tend to draw around in concentric circles. That's my little thing. You might all have something that you do that's kind of unique to you. Some people draw little faces, some people draw flowers. So I'm literally just, for me, I'm going to go around those lines again and again, and I'm going to build up a pattern. I'm going to start building up a different kind of pattern. Maybe I'm going to go into stripes or zigzags or squares or circles, spots. So if you've got a different colour or a different tool, a drawing tool or a writing tool, you could start to use that and see the combinations that you can start to build up. Maybe pencil with felt tip or pencil with biro or whatever it is that you do. You can start blocking in colours. And that's kind of it, really.
I think what we're saying is feel free to. It's legitimate, absolute legitimate doodling. So feel free to carry on doodling while we're chatting. I'll just start with this little preface before we sort of open things up and for people to chip in. But so there's been a number of studies and articles that suggest that women have been disproportionately affected by the socio-economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And in heterosexual couples, a trend in women being more likely to change to flexible hours or job roles that have consequently seen them assume a greater proportion of the domestic and caregiving responsibilities. So kind of bearing that in mind, I think if we just kick us off with what we think or what we feel the challenges are for women, particularly at this time, for finding a space to do something positive for their own well-being. So what do you believe that the challenges are to that, especially at the minute under the current conditions?
I think at the moment when with children being at home, it's quite difficult, we found, for women to find private spaces for themselves, but also join into the Zoom groups that we have as well, just because of lack of space, lack of privacy, lack of confidentiality. So we are finding it quite difficult at the moment.
The most difficulty from the lockdown up to now is the electronic, how to use it. Many of them, they are scared, frustrated. Even the problem is they don't have a smart mobile or laptop. So we are feeling this, we are leaving them behind. And also the load of work, 24 hours plus being with their husband and with their children and doing the job is themselves. That's so difficult. But financially as well, we are providing support and help, and the panicking itself, it gives them stress and depression, and mentally they will be affected. And there is many things. It is just so hard.
Yeah.
I think that links in with the many roles that women play, like Zenabu mentioned. Women, we take on roles. We have so many different identities. You've got your mum, sisters, wives, everything apart from who you are as a person, what your likes are, what your dislikes are. And now women with children, they've taken on the roles of being teachers at home. Where language, if English isn't your first language, that's an extra barrier. The different ages of children that they have at home, how do you balance that? So it is difficult.
Q?
Yeah, just want to add to that as well. So it's sort of like trying to be all these different job roles, or so you're a worker, you're a parent, you're a carer, you're a partner, you're a cook, a teacher, a cleaner, a calmer of situations, and it's all happening in the same room at the same time. So you have to do all these roles there in the moment, and the time just sort of goes because you're just constantly just switching from one of these roles, or you're trying to do all three of these roles at the same time, and it's like multitasking as well. And then like the day just goes and another day just starts.
And within that, being from a South Asian background, you've also got the cultural kind of assumptions and expectations, as well as trying to be professional and doing work. So it's like, like you said, you've got different identities, but trying to sort of like balance those two while you're working from home. And then you get the thing that, oh, have you not stopped working yet? And it's like, no. And, then you get into that thing where, you start feeling guilty of still working, let's say at 5 o'clock. Whereas when you were back in the office, you might have finished at 4 o'clock, but it's spilling more and more into your evenings kind of thing as well. So it's that kind of a, not lack of understanding, but it's your roles have changed, and and your routine changes while you're working from home as well. And then how do you balance all those expectations as a woman, regardless of which cultural background you come from, the household chores, every single thing that needs to be done.
And also the most difficulties is also we have people who had not been illiterated, and to support their children, they are suffering in many ways. And to get help and to ask, they don't know the way how to get the support and help from the school as well. And also neglected by the GPs, whatever, when they want to contact them, because of the language barrier and the accent, whatever, they feel that way as well, on top of that.
Yeah. Nikta, you were? Yes, I think whatever we said is, it's similar for women always. But now this time they haven't got time to talk about their emotion as well. So they, as mentioned, mom's been a nurse, being a teacher. Now they have to deal with the technical. They have to report their stuff to the school as well. The women forget themselves. They have to be all the time. They have to be there for everybody, not for themselves. Being a mom, being a good wife, being a good sister, the shoulder to cry, everything. And then they haven't got time for themselves. And this is, everyday things we see. Jess?
Yeah, when I was reading these, before we came to this meeting today, it dawned on me that how I had been impacted by this, which I'd not clocked until preparing for this conversation, where in this latest lockdown, going into it and realising my child was going to be home again to do homeschooling, I made a decision to drop my hours in one of my jobs so that I could commit more time. Dad we live apart, we're separated, and he has a 50% of the time, but he has a full-time job and he's brilliant and supportive, but he wasn't able to help her with her homeschooling as much. So I made the decision for myself to drop some hours so that when she was with me, I could catch her up and I could make sure she was doing a good job. And then I've been reflecting, why did I do that? Because I wanted to support my child and support him, but that I made that decision for me. And why is that? Is it to do with how I value myself? Or, I didn't have a conversation about it. I just did it. So it's interesting to me.
I suppose it's the expectation, isn't it, that women or mothers or sisters or whoever, wives, whoever it is, they give, we give that sacrifice rather than, the men in the family. But I also wanted to pick up the fact that around, this last lockdown that we're going through at the moment, I think a lot, mental health, anxiety has increased a lot. But that understanding of what time for yourself is, what maybe counselling is, what well-being is, sometimes there's a lack of that understanding of what that really is, especially if you are from, the South Asian community or, I know speaking to family members, talking about counselling, asking for support, it's non-existent. And I don't know whether that's, generational kind of era thing where maybe some generations don't understand what counselling is and what positive impact that will have on your health. So I don't know if anybody else has kind of come across that, in that lack of understanding of how it can be supportive.
On the plus kind of thing from working from home, with my husband giving up his business, he's picked up some of the whole household chores. But then there's something inside me thinking, well, am I not supposed to be doing that? And he's doing it. Why do I need to feel guilty? Let him do it. He's got more time on his hands. I can carry on working. So he's supporting me in that way, where you've always got something inside you thinking, oh, he's doing it. Well done, you did that for me. Oh, thank you. But we never get that because that's the expectation that we should do it.
Yeah. Do we think that actually this is how things tend to be anyway, but actually COVID's actually just put a spotlight on things because women are not able to go out and chat with talk with their mates and share, and like I think I could be generalizing, but my feeling is that women tend to do that more. They tend to share with their mates, and that's a lot of what keeps them contributes to their well-being. And do we think there's less opportunity for that now, and that's possibly impacting as well?
No, just think, like what you said, Moira, I think so, because when we're working at, outside of our homes and in offices, we have those colleagues and peers where we chat and all that kind of stuff. And whether you're working, walking back home, you have that time to, get things out of your mind, come back, and then you can play that role, whether it's a parent, a carer. But with the pandemic kind of stuff, you're stuck in your house. You've got to switch between one role to the other without any gaps. Whereas a walk to, towards your car to get and then drive home, you had that free time to think and empty your brain, but we haven't got that now. So I think that's where, for a woman to switch between working from home and then doing bits and bats, that's going to have an impact on our stress levels and me time as well.
Yeah. Sally?
I think there's absolutely massive amounts of negative stuff coming out of all of this, like we've just heard. And I'm also just wondering about the potential for the positive, like because you can't go out, is it that there's a potential to maybe join more online groups? Obviously, Hoot are running on all our stuff is online at the moment and has been for nearly a year. So I'm just wondering whether that actually is a benefit for some people some of the time, some women some of the time, because maybe their mental health is so bad that they wouldn't have been able to go physically out and join the physical group, let's say at Hoot. And so I'm just wondering, do you guys have any positive case studies or stories of women who actually are finding at least just a little glimmer of something positive?
Yeah, so just if you're talking about positives, we were actually had a team meeting this morning, and we were talking about the positive, aspects, things that have come out of lockdown, and we were talking about some of the women who maybe initially wouldn't be able to get to the centre because of anxiety, depression, not being able to get out, or not being able to attend counselling sessions, but because we've had Zoom counselling sessions, over the phone counselling sessions, we've had more women go through and follow up the assessment and follow up with groups because they've been able to do it from home. We've had someone who has actually out of the country, but this could still continue the counselling because it was over Zoom in pre-lockdown. It would have never have happened. So that's, it has been real positive.
I think, doing things remotely as well has given opportunities for people to access services in a confidential way without people seeing someone going into a centre physically. There's stigma attached to accessing mental health and well-being services, especially in certain communities. You can do it discreetly, whether through your phone or working at home from your bedroom and that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see that, whether more and more women are accessing these kind of support because they can do without anybody knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the positivity with our women is the time they have to be with their children, support them to step on the right route of whatever. Before they don't know them, they will spend in the school, they will come and they will something. So this is the main positivity, being with the family as well all the time. But it is hard, but it is positive. And also, the positive is just admiring what kind of help and support and engaging with the system, what we are providing, to know them, to accept from them the feedback, and also the exchange of experience as well. It heals them very well. Before we were working as a group, just something else, and then the time come finish or whatever. Now it is individual. We give them time to speak out and to express themselves. So that's the positive thing as well.
Yeah. Could see her, and then Nikta will come back to you.
Yeah. For me personally, just before the lockdown happened, I was in quite a bad place mentally anyway, and I needed some time off. So COVID, with everyone going in lockdown, it sort of allowed me to sort of stop, and some of them issues that I was dealing with, to sort of sort them out or think about them more or deal with them or whatever you want to say. So one of them things was my kids. So my kids are quite young. I work in Huddersfield, but I live in Leeds. So I was really struggling with the travelling and trying to get back to pick up, you know, one of my kids from school or whatnot. But then I got that time to be with them. Obviously, you know, with the lockdown, the schools have closed as well, and I wasn't expecting this to happen where, you know, they kind of stuck to 24/7. You know, I still love them, but it just allowed me to have that time with them as well, and for me to sort of calm down a bit and sort of, you know, reevaluate everything. It also helped me to save money as well, because as you can imagine, it's expensive travelling from Leeds to Huddersfield. So that was a positive, because I've saved money. And then the job role that Holly and I do at Hoot, with the rest of the team, you know, we managed to set up an online space for people to access our activities online. And that's something that, especially in marketing, for Holly and I, we've spoken about for years and years, but the pandemic allowed that to happen very quickly, and for it to be successful as well. So they're just some things that were positive for me.
Victor?
Just, I think, for service user who has got disability, so difficult to come to the center, or money problem. So that's really good. They can connect on Zoom and safe environment. Also, another thing, I think family getting together, they knowing each other better, as we, you know, just been mentioned as well, just running around all the time. Now people have got more time, and they can talk about the children, what they need. So lots of people, they didn't use any technology or didn't use the mobile phone. Now they know this is part of their life, so they try to improve their skill, which is, you know, is positive. We talk to people really closely. We spend more time with them, you know, when we call them one-to-one. They are all positive.
So it might just be nice to finish with, if we went round, just ask a little thing that you might have been able to hang on to over the pandemic, or that you might have even developed or discovered, that the little thing that just gives you a little minute of loveliness in this crazy, strange time that we're in. So Holly?
Yeah, that's a tough one, I think. Certainly working from home, I've recognised that there is some time I can reclaim there, the time I would have spent travelling to and from the office. And rather than just thinking, oh, I can carry on working in that time now, is to put it to use in a way that looks after me. So there isn't anything specific, but it's just about reflecting on that. Just because that time's reclaimed, it doesn't have to be claimed by a different responsibility.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, where possible anyway.
Jessica?
Jessica? Only my mother calls me Jessica. And you now, Moira. There is one thing, actually, that I fear it'll go away when lockdown's over, and it's online yoga, because I have been wanting to get back into yoga for ages, and now one of my friends who's a yoga teacher put some women's yoga online. It was crucial for me that it was women, actually, and all of a sudden I feel I can do it, even if, you know, my child's in the background. It doesn't matter. I don't have to leave the house or travel to get to it. And my mum comes, and me and my mum have never done yoga or anything like that together, so it's like a connection for me and my mum once a week, and that just feels like a bit of a sacred space, and it's totally different to anything I do, running sessions and singing. It needed to be separate to that. So I feel that's my little nourishing body, connecting to women and my mum thing.
Lovely, thank you. Sally?
I'm really aware that I'm dead lucky. I've got a studio here, and so I go in my studio. It's a double thing. This, I'm being greedy, Myra. Two things. So going in my studio, making my sculpture mainly, and also dog walking, because we've got a dog and we live in the woods. So I'm really aware that I am very lucky, but walking the dog and making art.
Excellent. Nikta?
The positive thing, I think, is staying positive and being hopeful, and that's really important, and helping women with contact, and, you know, keep going on. You know, I know it's been locked down, we've been at home, but been managing, you know, and that's being positive for me.
Thank you. Zenabu?
The thing I have in mind, and also I am going to take with me all the way until my end of life, is just what I have got is strength, because I lost my mom. So after I lost her, it was end of life. But because she lived with me all the way since I was kid, she was with me until now. But when she gone, it was just black and dark. After a while, I have realized I have to stand up. I have to look after myself. I have to see Zanabu how she is doing. And then I am realizing now, I start loving myself. How is this lockdown brought it? To listen to, to touch my body, and also to understand what's going on with my body, with my mental health, whatever. It gives me time to think. Because of that positivity, I am changed to negative living standard of life.
Oh, thank you. Sobia?
I think one positive out of lockdown was that our bathroom, well, the toilet broke down. We've never had a bath. In the earlier days we had, but we've not had one for like the last 15 years. So I have two girls, and both of them wanted to have a bath fitted in. So we had a bath fitted in, and I think I've never looked back since, because I'm just like, this is my bath time. And even though they might still speak to me through the walls, and we don't have a lock on the bathroom door, and they still like poke their heads in, but that's my 15-20 minutes of just trying to. That's it. I'm switching everything off and I'm going into the bath. So that's my been my little bit of kind of hope there.
Yeah.
A bit of me time.
Brilliant. That's great. And then Kudzia?
I got to slow down and take some time out when I really needed it. So even though it's been crazy at home, I really needed it at the time when the pandemic started.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, Lila.
One of the things that's come out a blessing out of this pandemic is the fact that I got to spend a lot more time with my husband, that he shut his business. And then also just my faith has kept me grounded and to manage and to stay strong through all these kind of the pandemic lockdowns and all that kind of thing. And just to just keep calm, even though there might be storms going inside your head, your heart, whatever. I think those are the two things that's helped me just to stay a bit sane and stable.
How about you, Moira?
Oh, I probably would say because I've started open water swimming at the back end of last year, and that has been one of the things. I have to say, I hate to say it, but Zoom has been an absolute blessing, because I hate it and I love it, because you just think that, imagine 10 years ago, 5 years ago, in this pandemic, and the difference what would we have done without Zoom? At least we have been able to keep in touch with people, haven't we? And, and the other little, WhatsApp, whatever it is that we do. But I do, so open water swimming, being able to maintain some level of connection with people has just been, feels like a nice thing to do. With a cup of tea and a good chat. I'm sorry, I'm so stereotypical, aren't I? But oh, well, thank you. I've really enjoyed that. I've been very warm, but I've really enjoyed it. I hope it's been all right for everybody else as well. And I'll hand back to you now, Holly.
Thank you for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed listening in as we discuss topics that can be quite challenging to speak about. More information about Hoot can be found on our website, hootcreativearts.co.uk. And for more information about Women's Centre, visit womenscentre.org.uk. You can find out more about International Women's Day online as well. Bye for now.